Welcome back to the Wrestling Related Podcast, where the topics are related to wrestling. The three of us are related to each other. I'm Josh.
Dustin.
I'm Corey.
And you guys are catching us with another week where we actually get to talk about whatever we want because there's not a PPV or a PLE that is occupying our time for predictions. That will be next week as we get ready for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
and for those of you watching, I am no longer a funny... Okay, I am a funny face, but I'm not as funny as I was last week, where I was just frozen. So, there you go. There it is.
Whoa!
Yes, good stuff.
Yeah!
Okay, before we get into the wrestling shenanigans and happenings, we did get another very extensive comment from John Hayes. However,
cool.
John did say, please don't read all of these comments on the show. You'll make Corey want to fast forward through them all. But if I go through here and I hop on, let me look and see what are some of the things that he really sang. He said he did give up standard cable television stations, so he doesn't even get caught up on Raw anymore. Honestly, if his oldest daughter wasn't so into catching SmackDown every week, he would probably mostly just catch the PPV and PLEs. So,
really?
Yep. Fair enough. Let's see, Dustin.
What?
If he doesn't have cable and stuff, then he would have no Raw, no Dynamite, no Collision, no Rampage, no NXT.
Raw is so good right now.
Well...
Ooh.
Yeah, there are moments in Raw that are getting better than SmackDown. Moments. Yeah. Let's see. It says
last week's Dynamite.
Not as good as last week's Dynamite. Yep. Especially that first 59 minutes and 58 seconds. We'll get to that in a second. It says, Dustin needs to try to do this statue on the next episode and then just start moving. Oh. So, yeah, he was saying that you needed to do this and then just, yep. Or, Josh, you could try to animate Dustin like you did Jared on the other podcast. Put him in some kind of a loop or just shaking his head and mute his microphone. We'll see how well-behaved Dustin is in future episodes. Yes, and then he says, if I think of it, I will send you a screenshot of that episode. You had Corey and Dustin both saying Josh on the individual view. If I don't send you a screenshot, or I forgot about it, or I just get lazy and decide to make you go back 2 episodes and see it for yourself. No. But John did say that this week he's going to... For this week's episode, today's episode, the one that John, you're listening to this episode right now, and I'm reminding you, John, that you said next week, which would be this week, you're going to try and just reply in audio form on the Spotify app. So, challenge accepted. And then I'll have to figure out
on that.
Wagers on whether he says it or not, or does it.
Yeah. Because he's an honest man. He's not going to lie about it. So he's going to...
Well, this is true. Yeah. But if he knows that I really have never tried to figure out how to play a Spotify comment, that means he's going to do it just to make me more work.
Yep.
But if I told him that it was very easy to do, he might not. No, he'll do it. So, there's our comment. At least all of it that I'm going to read. The rest of it, it'll remain on the YouTube channel.
Hi, guys.
Okay. Before we get to the hi, guys. Is MJF versus Will Ospreay the match of the year so far?
Ooh, it's a doozy. It's a doozy. That was tremendous.
And that was on Dynamite.
So right? I thought to myself, there is no way anybody is going to top Will Ospreay and Danielson.
Right.
It was so good, impossible to top it.
And now?
It topped it. Last week topped it. Yeah. MJF and Will Ospreay was so good.
It was
so good.
It was right up there with it for me.
And here's my thing. You know, a lot of people have done 60-minute matches.
Right.
But 60-minute matches from a lot of people are, okay, Let's slap in a couple of rest holds. We got a headlock takeover, another headlock takeover, another headlock, maybe a figure four, maybe a sharpshooter. Let's sit in it for about 15, 20 seconds and catch our breath. They were going all out from beginning to end.
And the thing that I loved about it is the fact that they didn't even announce, other than, I don't even know if at the beginning they even announced that there was a time limit. They just went, and it wasn't until like the last 5 minutes that all of a sudden they're like, we're getting close to the 60-minute time limit on this. And then they're down to like 2 minutes, and it's like, and by the way, if MJF doesn't have a sense of urgency, Will Ospreay retains, because if it goes to a time limit draw, champion retains.
Right.
And for it to be...
I know.
59 minutes and 58 seconds.
Right.
2 seconds shy of that. And it was the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and it was just like, oh,
so good. Yep.
So good.
Now, I've been a little bit... MJF comes back. He's getting cheered. I like it. Him flipping gears a couple weeks ago, I was like, we didn't get a whole lot of time with him kind of enjoying being loved for a little bit. But, man, when he flipped the script hard, and he's hitting the gas.
Right.
Not sitting in it for a while, which is just ramping things up. And how else are you going to wind up getting the belt off of Ospreay at this point in time?
And I didn't see it coming.
No, me neither. I thought it was definitely going to go 60 minutes.
It was good.
When was the last time we've really had title changes? I mean, just on a weekly television program. I mean, we get it more in AEW than we do in WWE, but it's like, it's a rare thing even for that to happen.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
And yes, now, this was Dynamite 250. Which huge milestone, and I get that. So it felt a little more than just a weekly Dynamite, but it still was Dynamite. It wasn't a pay-per-view.
Right. And I've always been one of protecting the finish. Yeah. Each person's individual finish. I mean, when Cody's got to do 3 crossroads, it's like, goodness gracious.
Right.
How many times you got to hit somebody before they just don't kick out? Right. But it finally clicked on me this past week with it, that it was during that match that I'm like, oh, that actually creates more of a sense of urgency. Not that you got to hit the guy with 4 finishes in a row, but now the finishes are no longer necessarily finishes as much as like super signature moves, which is why guys have 2 or 3. And it's not just the days of Benoit where he's the only one that had 2 or 3 finishers, but able to use these in a way that who knows when it's going to be. It could be with 2 seconds left. It could be with 20 minutes left. It could be 5 minutes in. And so it creates that sense of urgency for the people, also for the fans of watching, of, if I get up and go get something to drink, I might miss it.
Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Yeah.
So
I loved it.
I'm digging it. It was good.
And
good.
MJF, let me just kudos when he took that hidden blade from the dive onto the outside, and he ate that thing. Mm-hmm. Ate it so well. And then even later on, when he's in the ring, they played it up so well when he gets up and he's getting ready to get hit with that hidden blade again, and you see him looking at the Jumbotron, and he sees him start running, and then he drops down, and they said that's what he was doing. And they said it. Mm-hmm. They said he was up there looking at that's how he timed it so good. Right. And it was great. Don't hide it. I mean, because that's what happened.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's using his resources.
The fans know. They see him.
Yep.
They can see him doing it. We know. It's the only person that doesn't know is the guy that's getting ready to hit him, because he can't see his face, can't see his eyes.
Right.
And so for the commentary team to acknowledge it, then it's no longer demeaning to the fans of
Yeah.
they're like, duh, it's right there. Don't tell me.
Yep.
You know, I can see the strings on the hat from the magician. Why am I? No, it's there.
Yeah. And that was something I think I said a couple weeks ago that, don't treat us like we're stupid.
We're stupid.
When you're playing it like that, it's like, we know, you know, and we know that you know, and we know that you know that we know that you know, so why are you treating us like idiots? It's just like, it's like, come on. So yes, little things like that it adds so much. I love it.
So with that being said, was it like with you guys the same as me, where you're sitting there, even in the commercial breaks, when it was picture in picture, I'm still watching it. I didn't turn away from it. I still watched it through the commercials.
Yeah.
But then when it was over with, I sit back in my recliner and I'm like, I don't want to watch anymore. I'm done. I'll watch the rest tomorrow. I'm going to bed.
Almost, yes.
No,
turkey.
It was not just you. I watched it that night. The next night. I don't know. But I watched it. The kids had gone to bed. The kids didn't go to bed that night until like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, I got laundry. I'll sit up. I'll watch it. And I'll watch it. And I'm watching it. And I'm watching it. And I'm like, I am so tired. I'm about ready to pass out, but my eyes won't close. And it was over. And I'm like, the rest has got to wait. And I crashed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, I think it was also some of the adrenaline coming down, the excitement of it, and then just kind of like the adrenaline dump, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever they got on next is not going to top that. I can look at this tomorrow.
It was. I didn't watch it that night. Obviously, Wednesday we do home group, but seeing it the next day, I took a break because it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. And I just had to take a moment to kind of process. And then it's like, all right, now let's get back to something that's not going to be as good as that was. It's just like, I had to lower my expectations again.
What followed it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you what followed the remainder of the show other than Mariah May coming out as Toni Storm.
Yeah.
Like, I got a kick out of that. I was let down on the promo because she's not as good as Toni on that microphone. And I didn't realize how not as good she is until you're out there and Toni Storm's not with you. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, you're not.
And it went on and on.
And it kept going on.
And I'm like, okay, let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay, skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, get out of the ring.
Right.
Get out of the ring. I'm like John Panette. Get out of the line.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Jericho, yes. The learning tree is so good. And was that match that he had him and Big Bill
Redwood
against like the Outrunners or whatever?
That was funny.
The guys that are hilarious, and Jericho sitting there on his cell phone on the apron the whole time.
Yep. That was great.
Is brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Those guys are more of an 80s throwback than FTR.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, FTR is a throwback to the serious wrestling. Those guys are a throwback to the rest of it.
Correct. Yeah.
The rest of it.
Yeah. And I love it. Having spent plenty of time in a comedy tag team gimmick, I love it.
Right.
Just I love it. Those guys are awesome. So
now question. You mentioned Mariah May not being any Toni Storm. Now, if you were to take Toni Storm, you take Jericho,
Mhm.
and you take MJF.
Mhm.
Who talks nearly as good as those three
Shibata.
on the roster?
The iPhone.
I'm not arguing. When you're right, you're right.
I mean, Osprey's not bad.
I mean, those.
He's not up at that level.
He's not
But
great.
he's not bad.
He's not great. It's
Swerve's
those
not bad, but he's not at that
three,
level either.
Adam Cole.
right? No, I'm with you, but those three are like 2 steps ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the pack has ground to make up before they're even biting at the heels.
Briscoe.
Adam Cole, Christian Cage, those are guys.
Mark Briscoe. I love it.
Yes. Redneck
Briscoe is
Kung Fu
believable
all the way.
because that's him.
Miscombobulated.
The conglomerate.
Miscombobulated.
Meanwhile, you guys hear him say it, you know my brain's exploding when he does it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time.
And that's what's making you laugh.
Well, it's one of those that it's I mean,
sending each other texts. Corey's having a seizure right now, guaranteed.
I bet he'll have
love
that
it
Twitch
because
on the
and
podcast.
I say this a lot.
Corey sits down twitching.
Yeah. I say this a lot. I mean, obviously being a pastor, I'm in communication. That's kind of what I do for a profession. But I don't care about improper grammar. Communication is all about conveying ideas in an effective manner. And I don't know if there's anybody that's conveying what they mean as well as Mark Briscoe is at times. Like it is not proper. It is not right, but it makes so much sense. And Kyle O'Reilly, he's like, I'll go to battle to the ends of the earth with that guy.
Yeah,
it's like,
I popped with him saying what was it, miscombobulated or whatever it was, and he goes, word of origin, American. Can you use it in a sentence? And I'm like, I'm popping for that. I'm like, yes, use it, and he did, and it made sense. Yeah. And I'm like, I understand what miscombobulation means now.
Yep, it's so good.
Both of you guys were Ultimate Warrior fans, right?
No.
That's have no idea what the heck he's talking about, but he's excited.
Well, see, that's the difference between Ultimate Warrior and Mark Briscoe. You didn't understand what Ultimate Warrior was saying.
I like one and I didn't like the other. But
but with Ultimate Warrior, you weren't quite sure what he was saying. He
didn't know what he was saying.
With Mark Briscoe, you know what he's saying, even if he's not using the proper words.
Right.
It's just like still getting it.
Ultimate Warrior reminded me of Damon Wayans on In Living Color when he was in prison, and he's in jail, and he turns around, and he's like saying all those words that make no sense. That's what he reminded me
of. Ultimate Warrior's promos are kind of like Scott Steiner's math.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. No, I get the point you're making, Corey, about how really the three that are best on the mic right now in AEW, and they do set themselves apart on being that good on the mic, and it is Chris Jericho, Tony Storm, and MJF. Like they set themselves apart on that. I do think Mark Briscoe is great in what he does, and on the microphone he can cut promos. It's a completely different style, which is why I think we probably give a little more grace to it. I miss Adam Cole. I miss Adam Cole's promos.
Where's he at? What's going on?
I don't know. Like I'm not sure. I don't know if he's
yet to wrestle though.
I don't think he's been completely cleared. I know he has been a little injury prone. I don't know.
And we talked last week about some of the possibilities from some of these injuries, whether it be on one or the other. Could it be too much of a schedule on WWE on them, or could it be not enough schedule, not building in AEW, not being able to build up that tolerance? Who knows? And like we discussed, it's probably a combination of multiple different factors and many that we don't even know about that are just contributing.
And then
bad luck, bad timing, whatever.
Yep. And speaking about injuries, there are like 3 or 4 that are out currently. Did you guys see Sky Blue and Hikaru Shida?
Mm-hmm.
That was from
Sky
Collision.
Blue jacked her leg up.
Yeah, Hikaru Shida, she climbed on the ropes and jumped off for a crossbody, but instead of landing chest, she landed on her thighs and it broke her right ankle.
Yep.
Oh.
You couldn't see the break or anything on the camera. You could, you look closely, you could kind of see. But I think it was this morning, Kyle O'Reilly, who's her boyfriend, posted a picture of her laying on the couch with the foot elevated and all wrapped up, and said, "Dr. Kyle is, on duty." And it was, I don't know if it was like Fightful or one of those that had posted, yes, it was a broken ankle. Also, it was Killswitch Luchasaurus has like a partially torn bicep.
Really?
Yeah, and I guess that was from the trios match. That somewhere in there he like partially tore it, but he's not expected to lose any time. So they're saying that he's going to just work through it. And then the other one I was thinking of was Dalton Castle. Because there was Dalton Castle versus Roderick Strong. And Roderick Strong did like a flying knee, that jumping knee that he did, and caught him in the head. They thought it was a concussion. I haven't heard the actual report of what it was. But apparently it was not a concussion. It was something else, and it's going to require like surgery. So crazy. Yeah, it was like all in the span of just like a few days, and you get one after another dropping.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. So, and it was at least good to hear that with like Killswitch, especially because they just won the trios titles. It was like,
that was a great match too.
That was a really good match.
That was good. I was really pleasantly surprised with Collision. Not only that, but while I didn't care too much for the Lucha Brothers match the night before, or was it a couple days before?
It was the night before. I think it was Rampage, Lucha Brothers versus Private Party.
Yeah, because Private Party is garbage. But I'm not getting an argument. But when Ray Phoenix and was it Tony Nese or something had a match on Collision?
That was good.
Wow.
That was really good.
That was really good. That outshined the Aerostar debut as a hologram.
Yeah, the hologram.
Or whatever. Who is it Aerostar? I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. It was one of the AAA guys that he was with. AAA's not with them anymore, and he has to rebrand himself. But yeah, I thought, well, in that debut, I popped for the debut just because he's wrestling Gringo Loco, and I love Gringo Loco.
I'll pop for Gringo Loco.
I mean, he's worth watching. I loved seeing Gringo Loco make his 2024 AEW debut so much, I almost wore my Gringo Loco hat tonight. It was like, I almost wore it. But I thought it was
that you have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were at one of the Wrestling Revolver shows, and Logan's like, hey, Gringo Loco's got a blackout hat. And I was like, he does. And then Logan went over and just bought it and had him sign it. And he's like, here you go. And handed it to me. I was like, oh, sweet.
Thank you.
But it's a flat bill snapback, and I don't really wear those anymore.
Justin's rocking his Hulkamania.
Before we go too far, real quick, you were talking about all the people that were injured this last week and everything.
Yep.
And I just wanted to touch base before I forget it. Speaking of people that can't wrestle right now, I was wrong on Jade Cargill. She's 32, not 42. So my bad. I was going by the white hair. I figured she was older than that.
And the other one I forgot, Jay White did have a foot injury, but he's not expected to miss a significant amount of time. So that was the other one.
I thought it was a booking reason why he hasn't been on show.
Yeah. But yeah, Sky Blue broken ankle, Dalton Castle, no concussion, different injury, will need to undergo surgery. Jay White, legit foot injury, not expected to miss significant amount of time. Kill Switch appears to be a partially torn bicep. Hurt his arm in the collision trios, but is expecting that he will work through it. So, prayers for speedy recovery for all of those.
Absolutely.
Speaking of collision, before we depart from AEW and head over to the Fed, what did you guys think of the summer series, the new look, the layout, while they do this in the esports arena there in Arlington?
It's gonna have to grow on me. It's like a bad cup of coffee. I'm gonna have to watch it a few times before I enjoy it. So.
I thought it was gave me some Ring of Honor vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but
I was thinking
I don't hate
it. Gave me some
old
school like WCW Saturday Night vibes.
I can see that.
And at the same time, I can see the Ring of Honor as well. I can see TNA. If somebody's saying it kind of gave the TNA vibe. I liked it. And at the same time, I didn't like it. I thought that the stage design, like honestly, seeing the stage design with that long ramp, that made me think like AAA and CMLL. It gave me that kind of a feel for it, more so than any of, Ring of Honor or TNA or even NXT when they used to do that on the Black and Gold brand. I didn't like the fact that the crowd was so small, because I know that they're leaving money on the table by limiting themselves to this small of a venue. It's a 1,300 max capacity. I think it's like 1,279 is all they can fit in there. And they're doing 6 shows there. Now, me being the investigative journalist that I am, I wanted to know why. I was like, why, what's up? So I start looking around and figuring it out. Apparently, this is an agreement they've got with the city of Arlington, because the city of Arlington, Texas owns the esports arena. And they're cutting them like a 50% off deal to be able to rent it. Fair, I guess, but at the same time, you're limiting your shows. Like they've been averaging on Collision, 4,000 to 5,000 in attendance. So even at that, you're missing a third or 2/3 of the amount of people that you could have. The math ain't quite mathing. It's not making much sense to me. Somebody else says, well, there's also a provision in the city minutes that they talked about this, that they're going to try to offset some of the cost through the tourism board. And it's like, okay, so it'll be a little bit more financially beneficial, I guess, for AEW, but that's just cutting cost. It's not really increasing revenue. Still not quite making sense. And then I'm thinking, what's in it for Arlington? And then I came across something that I think it was Sean Ross Sapp with Fightful, that he said that he picked up on a rumor that AEW is looking at doing a stadium show in Texas in 2025. And then I remembered that the city of Arlington actually owns the stadium that they have right there. It's the stadium that the XFL team, the Arlington Renegades, play in, and also their soccer club, and even the Rangers wind up doing like some games and practicing and stuff out of there. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, could it be that the city of Arlington is like, hey, we like the idea of you coming in and doing a stadium show here in our stadium, but what if we kind of do a little bit of a teaser and a package by bringing you guys in during the summer first, build up a local fan base around it, and then we bring you in next year?
So they're doing the drug dealer test where you give them a little taste, and then come pay for it.
Could be. And the interesting thing, because they do this summer series, I'm just wondering, what if they try to do something like that next year, where they do the summer series again, but that is leading up to their stadium show in Arlington. Like, now all of a sudden, you're bringing more of a buy-in. Because I'm thinking, if I'm Arlington, Texas, it's not really financially beneficial for us to cut you a 50% discount on renting out this arena just because you're going to do 6 weekly shows where a max amount of people that are coming is like 1,300. However, would I be willing to give you a discount for those 6 shows in the chance that you wind up bringing like 50,000 people next year?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now that, because that's going to spark tourism there, and that's going to be a big event. So I don't know if that's what they're doing, but it would make sense.
Also keep in mind, when are all these shows happening? Are they weekend shows? Are they during the week shows? I mean, if they have some of these shows during Dynamite, then they're midweek, and
these are all Collision.
Most of these venues. Oh, really? Okay.
All of these are just Collision.
Give it its own special look. I like it.
Well, there's 5 Collision that they've got. So they're doing it for the next 4 weeks leading up to All In Wembley. And there's also the Ring of Honor, I think it's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view will be there as well.
Okay.
So it's the one Ring of Honor. Now, there could be other Ring of Honor tapings that are happening. I don't know. Because I don't subscribe to the Honor Club, so I'm not sure. But I'm looking at it from, it's kind of just being in a small venue. I don't like that aspect of it. It seems, now, right. For a small venue, I think they made it look good. But it's like you guys are drawing more people than that. So it just seemed like a little missed opportunity, but it would make sense if they're building this up for something in the future. And Tony Khan does have a way of doing that. Like he did that with Warner Brothers where, hey, we'll run this show and we'll do it for this amount. And if it winds up working well for you and you like it, then let's talk about this and we'll expand.
Now, I'm okay with that. Now, also keeping in mind that I would much rather have 1,000 people in a place that holds 1,200 than have 10,000 people in a place that holds 40. Because one looks packed to the rafters and to the gills, and the other looks like empty.
Yeah.
So is it basically kind of like a Texas version of Daly's Place?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah,
I like Daly's Place layout better, though.
I like Daly's Place layout better too. I mean, it's small crowd at Daly's Place, but there's also that little bit of nostalgia from Daly's Place because it's like this is where we got through COVID with you. Like
exactly.
That's the venue. So there's that part of it that I do kind of revert back to, and because just the layout of Daly's Place alone is just weird. Mm-hmm. So it already looks different on camera. So it's like, I know it's a small venue and I'm okay with it. But yeah, if they were doing, like if they went back to just running a weekly show at Daly's Place, I would question it. Now, if it was for a short run, which they've done, 2-3 weeks at a time, no problem. This one, it was like, we're doing this for 5 or 6 weeks. I was like, well, that's weird. So.
Weird.
I didn't mind the look of it. The only real complaint I had about Collision and in this, and then there was audio issues. Like the sound kept echoing when they're in the backstage doing promos. And I did see that part of the agreement that somebody had uncovered through that was that they were using the sound and equipment that was already there. So it's already installed in the esports arena. So they basically got to tap in and make it work. So I think they were getting some feedback, speakers coming in the house, and then backstage it was just doing a little bit of an echo. Hopefully they'll get that fixed. Mic them up differently. Something, I don't know.
Right.
Yep.
No.
Only other thing,
way,
AEW related that I think is awesome. AEW has come to an agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery in principle. They haven't finalized all the details. It's in principle. They're working that all out. Dave Meltzer seems to say that it's looking like $1.9 billion deal.
Nice.
And
For what?
it's going to be essentially Max is going to have everything. They're going to start doing the pay-per-views and everything through there. I think they've got some contracts currently, like whether it's with Bleacher Report, even though that's owned by Warner Brothers Discovery anyways, and I think they've got something with Triller, and then there's some overseas. But I hopped on earlier today and I pulled up my VPN, put my location in France, and checked it out. Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, and the last 2 pay-per-views are all up there and available to watch on Max right now.
Wow.
And the episodes of the weekly program are 1 week behind. So if that's the direction it's going, it's like, this could be interesting. I imagine what they'll probably do is Warner Brothers Discovery is probably going to do that, where it's like, we'll release the shows on Max a week after, because we're still going to keep it on TNT and TBS. There are channels. We're not going to steal them from there. But then if they wind up doing the pay-per-views like PLEs inside there, I think that would be something that would really boost the subscriptions, because I know a lot of the internet wrestling community, the biggest issue and complaint they have with AEW is $40, $50, $60 pay-per-view. And it's like, we're used to WWE where we have to spend like $10. And that's it. And they're like, we'll spend 10, 15, $20 a month. We just don't want to have to spend more of it.
I'm not used to it. I'm still used to the days where you start calling everybody up 2 weeks ahead of time and say, hey, who's down for the pay-per-view and who's pitching in $10?
Right.
And we all meet up at some central location, and then by the end of the evening, Dustin's smacking someone with pizza pans.
Yep.
Well, and I will
trash
say
cans.
last year on
Right.
last year's hurt with Wembley, with All In, and then the very next week was All Out.
Yeah.
That one hurt the paycheck and hurt the wallet a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was like,
Sure.
I'm just like, man, do I bite the bullet and pay for it, or do I not? But
and I'd
it
be
was worth
excited about it being on Max if it weren't for the fact that I just came to terms with the fact that I'm going to get rid of it.
Oh, that's
Still cheaper to keep it than it is for a pay-per-view.
This is very true. And I
got to find something else to get rid of.
Yeah. And to me, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the thing with the Arlington Esports Arena, the rumor of a stadium show, how Tony Khan's been mentioning we might start adding in some other pay-per-views, and they're working on this contract all together. And the way that all streaming platforms are wanting more sports content, and even the rumor now that Tubi is wanting to get into wrestling content, and they're actually looking at just starting their own promotion, basically.
No.
Well, apparently they didn't want to work anything with an existing one. They tried to do that with MLW, but that's where the lawsuit came in with MLW and WWE. So they're like, well, it might just be easier if we just start our own thing. Who knows? But everybody's wanting more content. Hey, New Japan would be great. I think, honestly, what would have been amazing, and who knows, maybe we'll still see it, but I thought what would have been amazing is if AEW, when they were working on their contract with Warner Brothers Discovery, if they were true partners with New Japan and CMLL and said, hey, let's try to get you guys on the same platform as well. Like, because we're used to seeing WWE partnerships where it's like, send us your best, and then we're going to send you like our lowest of lowest mid-carders or bottom feeders, and then maybe you can have them on TNA, and that's it.
But they sent AJ Styles last week.
Yeah.
Over
to Japan.
To Noah?
Yeah. Although I think that was more AJ saying, I want to go. Just like Shinsuke a couple years ago saying, I want to go.
But I hear that the guy that he faced is actually coming to SummerSlam to make an appearance.
I heard that too.
Nice.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like
that'd be cool.
Current WWE, NXT, TNA partnership. It's like TNA sends them Jordan Grace and
Right?
Joe Hendry, and they wind up sending who?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
I want to know who. I didn't know who. Who?
I don't know. They sent somebody.
I don't know her name.
Okay.
Speaking of TNA, though.
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, new champion.
New champ. Speedball.
Yeah.
You know. He's new X Division. Yeah, I might actually have to start watching a little bit of that.
Both the Hardys are there and are hoping that this partnership with WWE could lead to a little crossover thing. Matt was saying he would be excited about seeing the Hardy Boys take some NXT belts.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got those yet.
This is true.
Interesting.
Wouldn't be that hard.
Well, this is true as well. Yeah, I can't even find it. I was trying to look to see who it actually was, and I just can't find it.
Unimportant to the story. If we don't know off the top of our head, we don't care.
That's the thing. It's like I know who WWE sent over to NXT, or who TNA sent to NXT. I don't know vice versa. Like I couldn't tell you. But anyways, I just thought how cool would it be and how selfless of a promotion if they were working out a media rights deal and they said, hey, I know you're wanting this. Would you mind if I talk? I don't have to be the middleman. I mean, if you want to do it as a package deal, I'm more than welcome to bring everybody to the table. They're partners of ours.
See if there's interest.
But yeah, just to see something. And especially with things like New Japan, because they do have those pay-per-views, but it's so weird because you've got to get the New Japan World app, and it's just, it's difficult to try to run it and get it working right. And it would be so much easier if it was just in one app. And if you could bundle that together.
Right. And once upon a time, before streaming, before cable TV was getting all 300 channels, our grandparents had a satellite dish, and you had to switch between different satellites in order to find what channels might be on those satellites. And lo and behold, you're able to tune in on a Saturday for 3 hours of CMLL on a Saturday and then 2 hours of AAA on a Sunday. And I don't understand the lick of what the heck they're saying. But man, I was excited to watch.
Yep.
I don't even need subtitles. Just a bunch of fast talking and people going flippy floppy crazy. Or as Arn Anderson referred to them, the Mexican national tumbling team. So.
Right. Yep.
Well, let's talk about some WWE.
All right.
Yeah, those guys.
Great start last night. Great start with Damian Priest and Gunther.
I loved his promo.
Loved it. And then Damian
was it actually good? I fast forwarded through it.
No, Damian's promo. I loved it.
Yeah, Damian didn't talk. He just dropped the mic and punched him.
I fast forward until I saw Gunther coming out and holding a microphone, and I was like, fast forward, and then I see punches getting thrown, and I was like, ooh, fight. Thank you.
Ooh.
Yeah, he basically came out and said, listen up, Damian, I'm going to give you one more chance to walk out here respectfully and hand me my title. And that's when Damian come walking out, and he gets in the ring holding the mic and just drops it and punches him. Nice. And I'm like, okay, that was a great start.
Yeah.
Yep.
The rest of the show for me was just, I mean,
What?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, come on. What? Not even like Otis busted out the caterpillar.
Otis. Hang on.
Otis breaks out the caterpillar.
Hang on. Dustin, they were in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I know.
They had Braun Strowman and Otis
on Lambeau
from
Field.
Wisconsin on the field,
Right.
and I saw a new Green Bay jersey that Otis was wearing that I know I'd be swimming in, but maybe I can get him like mini sized for me.
Right. I've been there.
And then you get Otis in the ring, and everybody's going banana, and that was fun.
It was a okay show for me. I did not pop on anything except for the very beginning. I didn't pop on anything. It just
See, in the beginning is
okay.
what I popped the least on.
Right?
I popped big on Otis. I also loved Chad Gable coming out, doing the beat down, the Wyatt Six coming out, and then Chad getting Sister Abigail'd.
He ate that though. He ate that.
That on his noggin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
That was good. I enjoyed that. I also, Lyra Valkyria.
Mm-hmm. And Sonya Deville.
I've got limited time with her and seeing her and what's going on. She's been somewhat impressive. She impressed me even more in that match, which the match was not good, by the way. But it was not her fault.
Correct.
I popped.
What impressed you?
When she is trying to do a gut wrench power bomb and Sonya Deville is holding on and she yells at her twice, let go, and then she finally lets go and then she flips her up to do the gut wrench power bomb.
Yeah.
The fact that Sonya Deville
have to go back and check that out.
Been in the business this long and she's holding on the back side of her, and so she couldn't twist. And it impressed me because while she is young in the business, a lot of people that do gut wrench type maneuvers, you go one fluid motion. And it's like once you start, especially with the gut wrench power bomb, you're already starting to walk out and get in position for the sit out. She gets to here and stops and holds. Mm-hmm. And she's holding her up. Once she finally lets go, then swings her around and lands.
Yeah, she doesn't put her back down. She holds her.
Yeah.
And then
that's some strength. That's some strength.
The strength, the confidence, and the fact that she called her out by let go.
I will go back and check that out. But when I see her come out, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a good match. And then we come out with the new lady job squad. Then I was like, okay, I'm bored.
Yep.
And then, who are they facing? And then we got these three boring women that are coming out twice in the show.
Right.
No, I don't care. I do not care. There is heat, and then there is turn the channel heat.
And
thankfully, I just have fast forward heat. So
that kind of booking is what frustrates me from Triple H. The fact that you are pushing them, and yet you've got people that are not being. Where's Cedric Alexander? Why did you let Shelton Benjamin go? Why is MVP not on the card?
MVP is talking about leaving.
Yep.
MVP
talking about leaving. Bobby Lashley, his contract's coming up. He turned down an offer.
Because going back when those four, when they were the Hurt Business, that was so good. That was so good. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, Triple H, wrestling fans for about the last decade have been craving Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. And it's come close a couple times. We know Brock is never going to go anywhere else. It's just never going to happen. And you've got Bobby Lashley, who is over and he can work. The only problem is when you try to force him to be a heel when he's over as a face, and it just doesn't work. And I'm like, why are you trying to turn Bobby heel with the Street Profits of all people? It's like, why are you trying to turn those three heel when they're extremely over as faces? But then you've got these other three that people don't really care about, and you're shoving them down our throats by giving them extra TV time. And it's like, well, what are you thinking? I don't get it. Like,
who knows?
and maybe there's some backstage stuff that I just don't get. Maybe there's legit beef between some of them and Trips. I don't know, but it's frustrating because Bobby Lashley especially is fantastic. And you know what? I would mark out so big if AEW, if Tony Khan just picks up all of them and starts the Hurt Business in AEW.
Well, who's the fourth?
Cedric Alexander, which I think he's in NXT.
Okay, he's still under contract for a while, I hear, and nobody knows what the legalities of the name are right now. But it wouldn't take much for them to change the name and still bring the three together. But
yeah,
because. I mean, I can't flip a channel.
Fine, don't call them the Hurt Business. Call them the Harm
really.
Corporation. I don't care what you call them.
Pain Incorporated.
That's awful.
Yeah, Pain Inc. And then here's the other thing, and I popped huge on this at Raw. I popped huge for the Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan thing.
Yes.
Because as I'm watching that, and when Dominic says, "I hate you, Liz, you ruined my life," and I'm like, isn't she the one person that got him the one thing that nobody else has been able to do, and that's a victory over his dad? And I'm like, and then her acting was like, it was purposefully bad. It was so good it was bad, and it was so bad that it was good. And I'm like, nope, not going to happen.
No.
Dom's turning on Rhea at SummerSlam. He's going to cost her the match, and Liv is retaining.
I don't think so. I think we still have some drama with Finn Balor going on. He's still the one that's involved of, hey, Dom, why don't you go down that way? Do what
you're supposed to do. Yeah.
I'm going over here. Do what you're supposed to. Go down that way. And 3 steps later, there's Liv. And then he just happens to stumble in the middle of it. What are you doing? And constantly throwing him under the bus. And then, hey, we should fight Jey Uso. Yeah, that's a great idea. You should do that. Come on, be a man. Creating dissension.
Quite possibly.
And way too often.
Yes.
Now, also some of the bad pouting and hurt feelings walking away, it seemed too much like too easily for her to flip to giggling right away. Now, I did find it amusing when Dom can't put the microphone to his face without getting booed out of the building.
Yeah.
But when he cut that on Liv, everybody got quiet and listened, and he went off. Mm-hmm. I mean, what little nuggets of Spanish I know. I was like, oh, come on. Get her.
The fact that the crowd then popped for that promo, too.
Right.
And it's like they popped for the promo, but why did they pop for the promo? Not because of Dom, because of Rhea.
Right. They don't want to see as much as they don't like him and they love her, they like them together. And they don't want to admit it.
But how could they, like, if I'm booking this and it's like, how can I make Rhea even more over as a face and get Dom even more over as a heel?
I would hold that, though. But I would hold that.
Well, it would be I would hold
wise. I would hold it until things start to cool down a little bit. And then right before it does start to cool down, because right now it's still climbing. Both of those are still climbing in their respective baby heel situations. But
correct.
The second it starts to cool, that's when you do that.
But I'm thinking long-term storyline, where is the biggest payoff for Rhea getting revenge on Liv? What is the biggest payoff we can get? Let's drag this out. Let's make this go till WrestleMania. Because right now it's like, what are they even building for?
It ain't going to last that long.
No, I don't.
Not if Liv wins at SummerSlam. If Liv loses at SummerSlam, it's over. The whole storyline is over.
Yeah.
But
unless
Dom interferes, if Rhea can't get the belt, Now all of a sudden she's like, no, I beat you once. You lost. I win. You had your rematch clause. Beat you again. You're done. You go to the back in the line. You don't get anything else again. I'm never giving you another rematch. But then Royal Rumble comes around, and guess who wins the Women's Royal Rumble?
I
But the
think we're
problem with
more
that
likely.
theory is
Go ahead.
the problem with that theory is you have what 6, 7 pay-per-views between now and WrestleMania. They're not going to draw that out for 6 or 7 more pay-per-views.
Well, that's what I thought about Cody Rhodes and the finishing the story, and they drug it out for 2 years.
But they didn't. They had Cody Rhodes wrestling other people at pay-per-views, little mini stories with Cody Rhodes, little other stories with Roman Reigns, and then they brought it back after Royal Rumble. So it wasn't a full 2-year type of thing.
But
So
we're
I
talking
don't see
about
him- I don't see him going that far.
while we think yes, there's several pay-per-views, most of these people are only on every other pay-per-view. So all we're talking is really like Rhea has to do something at, say, maybe Survivor Series. Maybe she's involved in that. And then it's a Raw versus SmackDown type of a deal. And then she has to wait until the next time she gets a match on pay-per-view is what? End of January, Royal Rumble? Because she's going basically from August to like October and then January, and then
she'll
that
have
takes her to
an
April.
elimination chamber. It's not going to even be a title match. It's just going to be, put them both in the chamber and see what happens.
Right. Like, it's easy
However-
under Triple H's booking to drag it out that long. It's very easy.
However, you're looking at pay-per-views. Look at the weekly shows. 26 episodes. You got 26 stories additional to tell on this? No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I
It'll
didn't
be
think
hard.
it was going to make it this far. I didn't think Cody Rhodes going 2
Right.
years to finish the story with. I didn't think that we would be here like 5 years later still talking about the bloodline. I didn't think it was possible that Roman Reigns would be able to hold the belt and almost break Hulk Hogan's record for like length of time. Like,
I heard something, Roman Reigns' reign as champion was longer than the Attitude Era.
that's not surprising.
Oh.
Hey, we're 2 weeks away from AEW Rampage having the same amount of episodes as WCW Thunder.
Let's not make that
That's
comparison.
not an accomplishment.
I think they're within the next year. I think they wind up having more episodes than Monday Nitro did.
Wow.
So it's like,
Wow.
oh,
So let me just explain when I said that last night was for me, and here's why. Here's my logic behind it.
Okay, please.
When you have a match to start off the week, we had our last podcast last Tuesday, and put it on the line on Wednesday. Here's the thing: you have Wednesday Night Dynamite that started off with that quality,
agreed.
that pay-per-view match. It does. I mean, you're going to have to go above and beyond for me to turn around and pop and turn around and just go all out and saying this is just amazing.
Agreed.
And that's my problem with it. Everything else was just like, it was okay.
This is true. And if we think
I still
about
watched
In
it.
comparison.
And if we think about what I was popping for with Raw, it's what I've been saying, that AEW's wrestling is hands down so much better than what the WWE is putting out there. But WWE storylines are hands down so much better than AEW's.
True.
And that's where, like, I was popping for, the storyline of Chad Gable and the Wyatt Six, and the storyline of Dom and Liv and Rhea. I was popping for Seth Rollins getting in between and upsetting Drew McIntyre and CM Punk and doing his maniacal laugh, which just made me keep giggling because those guys are furious, and that just made me laugh. Like, the storylines I'm popping for. The in-ring stuff, I don't know. I did get a kick out of seeing Jey Uso and Sami Zayn team up together. It
That was
like
a good match.
the Us and the honorary Us embracing again. And it was like,
Against Finn Balor and the Funko Pop. I mean, those guys are. It was a good match.
yeah.
And we didn't even talk about SmackDown when you had LA Knight and Logan Paul's little squabble there. That was good.
Oh,
That was a good
yeah.
promo.
Their promo, Bloodline 2.0. I don't remember Solo's promo. I know he tried to cut one. I just couldn't help but to keep my eyes fixed on Jacob Fatu the whole time, holding
Watching him,
up that necklace and just doing the little pray hands. And yeah. And Jacob Fatu is still so good.
He is.
Agreed.
He's my focus. Every time I see him come out, it's like my eyes are locked on him.
How is the Fed not watching this and going, crap, we pushed the wrong guy?
Yeah.
Maybe we have an opportunity here to flip the script.
I was just saying,
did you
maybe
see
they
that
didn't.
Thank you. And maybe with this this third brother, the big Sasquatch of a dude from
Hikuleo.
Yeah, the taller Tongo.
Yeah.
He's now like he's done with New Japan as of a week or so ago. So he could come in anytime.
Yeah. It's good. And hey, I actually got a kick out of the Bayley and Nia Jax promo. I got a kick out of that. Partially because Bayley, just like, she brought up 2017 where Nia injured her, and she's like, you didn't injure me because you're so big and you're so tough. You injured me because you're big and you're sloppy and you're dangerous. It was just like, oh, no, you didn't. And Nia's face is like,
yeah,
I'm going to kill you. It was...
I dare you.
It was such a good promo. Like, and I needed that to get me invested into that storyline.
Right.
And her reminding me, oh yeah, Nia did take you out in 2017 because of a botch injury. And it was like, oh, now I could actually see Bayley potentially retaining. Because in just that little bit of cutting that promo against her, there was a little more believability in, this isn't just another match, and you're not just somebody that's big and you're going to run straight through me. We got history, and I haven't forgotten. I was like, all right. But again, to your point, Dustin, the highlight of the week
was that?
Maybe the match of the year. It was just 59 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yep.
And all the memes with MJF standing in the corner holding the belt, and then a picture of Ric Flair doing the same thing in a similar pose at some point. And it's like, okay, I'll give you.
So good.
That was a good match. So good.
Yep. Need to watch it again. Now that you had time to decompress,
let it digest a little bit.
Go buy a pack of cigarettes because you're going to need one afterwards. Just
candy cigarettes work.
I got some downstairs.
Our childhoods, back when those were the candies that we got.
Remember the bubblegum ones that you turn around
the bubblegum cigars?
You blow and you get the puff of sugar puffing out the other end.
Yep.
Funny.
Those are fun.
All right, for next week, we got predictions that we've got to make because a week from Saturday is SummerSlam. And I think I already tipped my hand at least for one of my predictions, maybe two of my predictions. So,
whatever, I'm not going to remember that by next week. We're going to
we'll talk about it next week.
Fair enough.
By Saturday I'm going to change my mind. So
this is true. Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right, well, that wraps us up for this week. All you guys listening, make sure to leave a comment if you got something you want to chime in on. If you got a topic you want us to discuss, let us know that as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and do all of those things. And next week, get ready and bring your predictions as well. And that's all I got.
Bye, guys.